Well, right. But you also have to keep in mind, though, you have to be present in the right way, right? Because you can be present, but sometimes your presence can be more detrimental or toxic than your absence. So if he's going to show up, he has to show up with the right mentality and the right mindset. That way, his presence is, a benefit instead of a nuisance, I guess, or an asset, or sorry, a liability.
Right. I saw somebody pop in and pop out real quick.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, if isn't it not getting a lot of traffic on here, we could definitely hop over to fucking my TikTok and Joe's. We can either go live together or whatever, because that's guaranteed traffic at least.
Right.
I think that might be the plan for tonight, just as a wing it.
Yeah, we could probably pop over there. Shane could still record it for us. That way we got the video.
But yeah, I mean, as more people tend to filter in and out, I'm surprised. Usually, was it yesterday or the day before? Dude, I got bombarded with questions, man. Go, 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 and I was like, Jesus fuck. And it's always fun when you're like rapid fire answers, like,
You should probably text me when you're getting ready to go live, so that way I have an opportunity to get in there with you. If you get those days where you're getting hit hard with questions, we can sit there and bounce them back and forth instead of just me surprised like, oh yeah, he's online.
I mean, I usually do this shit when I can or when I have free time too. But we'll
What
see.
up, Sean?
It's weird. It's literally such a hit or miss. It's either, yeah, it's okay, it's whatever, or it's literally just everything. Um, my thoughts on creatine: people think way too much into it. Right? It's not gonna hurt you. It's not gonna kill you. Right? It's not gonna make you huge, but it's really take 5 grams a day. Don't fucking worry about it. It's really don't expect anything crazy off of it.
Any help for the skinny guy who never speaks out? What are you not speaking out on? I mean, like, I'm a small dude. When I went in the military, I was 5'9" and all of a buck 25. So I've never been quiet. I've got a lot of Irish in me. Quiet wasn't my thing. So I don't understand why people think that because they're small, they got to be timid. Like, be who you are and say what you got to say. Holding that shit in ain't going to do nothing for you.
But don't be stupid about it though.
Yeah, there's always consequences. As long as you're
Right?
willing to accept them.
Don't be that dude with Napoleon complex thinking you're hot shit. Just got a little bit of liquid confidence in you going up to the guy who's, a foot taller than you, being like, fuck you, dude. Yeah, let me know how that goes.
I
But
tell you, I've had some fun birthing battles where I've attacked guys who have your stature, but it's because no everybody's afraid of those bigger dudes. When I know damn well those bigger dudes are used to being careful because of their size, so I'm going after them because they're going to be cautious and we're going to have fun.
oh Jesus. No. But honestly, if it's a confidence issue, dude, if the size thing is that really big of a deal with you, you feel like that'll boost your confidence, go to the fucking gym. Eat your food. Right?
Is it
Don't
good to keep
overcomplicate
in
it.
emotions all the time?
Why would that ever? I feel like that was a very no shit question. Why ever would it be okay to keep in your feelings all the time? There's a time and place for everything. There's definitely a time and place when to or when not to show your emotions, but I'm sorry, but to do that indefinitely, at that point, you're just setting yourself up for failure.
I actually went to therapy as a young kid because I never expressed my darker emotions. So, like, if I got angry, upset, sad, wanted to cry, I wouldn't express those things when I was younger. And
Right.
my school recognized that as a very volatile environment for me, and they were right. Like, I got to understand that if I keep holding that shit in, at some point I'm gonna break, and all of those emotions all at once come out. It's better to
Yeah,
deal
you're
with
gonna
your
end up
emotions
turning
right
into
then
a
and
school
there.
shooter. Yeah, right. Yeah, no, absolutely. But I think, especially with today Western culture is going, it's very all or nothing. Right? If you looking at the media, right, the politics, left, right, looking at color, well, black, white, looking at skinny, fat, this, that. It's just this or this. Just one, right? It doesn't have to always be just this, or it doesn't always have to be just this. Life is not black and white. There's so many different variables and variants of things that in between. It's like you can't just put one overarching label on everything. So to say to always show your emotions, no. To never show your emotions, also no. And that's where I think a lot of people run into trouble because you have the people that are always emotional, right? So one, you can never take them seriously, and it's often toxic as all hell. And you have the people that never show their emotions, And it's the same thing, right? I mean, there's a time and place in, with everything that you do. It's just you need
I mean, I
people don't
get
take
it.
time. You know.
I get it. Nowadays, you're scared to say something because everybody tries to handshake everything. You know, if you say you have a feeling about something stupid like the size of an apple or the color of an apple, then all of a sudden it means that you mean this about oranges and bananas. Like, no, I said this about apples. Apples is what I was talking about. Fuck oranges and bananas.
No, right, and
So it gets hard to talk about shit when you feel like you're gonna be attacked for everything you say.
that's so immature. Honestly, it really is, because I can be like, oh, I only like, or sorry, no, it's like I like ballpoint pens. That makes about as much sense as after I say I like ballpoint pens for them to look at me and go, "What's wrong with pencils? Why don't you like the fountain pens?" It's like, just because I didn't specifically articulate every little writing utensil that I like to utilize in my arsenal does not mean I neglect or dislike any of the rest of them.
Right.
It's like they create that narrative in their heads, like, "Oh, you like this? Okay, so that must mean X, Y, and Z." It's like, no, motherfuckers, I say what I mean. So I meant to say that. I meant to say that. And if I didn't say this, because it doesn't fucking need to be said.
Tyler, you gotta throw your question out there if you want to answer it. Let's see. Dakota said, "Thanks for everything you gave me. New purpose for me to wake up and find a way to be motivated." William, how do I stop thinking of my ex? She was my best friend, and after a fight, she wants nothing from me.
Okay.
You must not have been that important. Like, why are you putting more? Why are you putting energy into somebody who isn't putting energy into you, bro? Like, why are you assigning all that So look, your emotions were valid in the moment of the relationship when it was valid, but now that she's directed what this is for you. Oh, my bad. I got distracted there. But
I mean, I
honestly,
was
like, why do people just keep going with, yeah, that's the way it was, but it's not the way it is anymore. Like, they don't take in that new view.
it seems to be a really common trend that we're facing right now. But it's like, I was actually going to be nice on that one. You're the one that just went right in and be like, "You don't fucking matter." But like, okay, shit, Jazz, damn.
I wasn't
But
trying to be mean. I was just trying to be blunt.
I mean, so pay attention to a lot of questions that we've been getting lately when we've been doing this shit off and on. It's like, one of the biggest topics, and I think I'm going to have to address this maybe a little more in depth, is that people have this narrative of being stuck in the past, right? They associate their whole identity and their character with whatever trauma situation, whatever happened in the past. And that's what they hold as like who they are. And it's almost like you have to address that at its source, bring them back to reality, be like, no, this is who you are. That's that. I don't. What is your opinion on it? Because that seems to be way more common right now as time seems to progress.
I think it's more of an issue with assigning value. You forget to assign yourself value while you're assigning everything else in the world value, like your partners, your jobs, your daily activities, your PlayStations, your computers, whatever you got going on. You always forget to assign value to yourself. So then you stop thinking of yourself as something that needs to be valued.
You all know, I think I think is definitely a contributing issue with that is a lot of people growing up now are forgetting to assign the value to themselves. Because I mean, look at shit. You have like young kids, like 4 or 5 years old, walking around with phones damn near nicer than mine on social media, getting exposed to that. They're already being taught at such a young age that their value and their worth is associated with their image on social media, right? The likes, the follows, the shares, whatever. That to them is they're associated with value. They're already being ingrained in that. So even in their up and coming, right, in their, adolescence, teenage, preteen, whatever it may be years, it's like they already formulated that in their head. It's like, this is how I associate my value.
It's that slippery slope. Like, nobody took the time to acknowledge the kids. Like, look, you have access to everything and anything. The internet has brought out no limits. And so people like lose sight of just being who they are because they're just trying to be who everyone likes. Like, fuck all that, man. I got time for that shit. I walk around in a pirate hat half the time and a pirate costume. And I went to the restaurant dressed up like this, and just me and my family, like, just having fun.
But you can't blame them though, because that's like literally what they're exposed to at such an early age. And you almost have to take it over the parents, like, why are you allowing your child to do this? Or why are you allowing them to be exposed to so much shit early on, where they're creating this character in reality virtually, whereas creating their character in reality in the actual fucking world where it matters, where they can actually apply it. So I just saw someone pop in the comments that I kind of want to address this. They said, value is not a real metric anymore. Well, people often seem to forget that there's, let me address this real quick. Value and worth are two different things, right? People like to be like, oh, I'm valuable, I'm this, I'm that. It's like, value is what people assign you, right? If you're valuable to me, it's because I see something in you that could be of mutual benefit. If you're not valuable to me, then I don't need you in my life. And I know it sounds cruel and harsh or whatever, but that's the reality of the situation. I can think whatever the fuck I want to think. You can think whatever the fuck you want to think. So if I think that you are valuable in my life, guess what? To me, you have value. Worth, however, worth is what you decide yourself. Worth is what you give yourself, right? We all have worth as sentient human beings. No one can tell you what you're worth. We all have worth, right? A life is worth, but your value is what you bring to the table. Your value is what you provide. So I hope that clears that up.
I want to throw on there that when you say like value, so your broad statement of value is no real metric. Anything I decide is a metric for me is a metric for me. Nobody gets to decide that for me, and nobody gets to decide that for you. You can feel as though things have failed you, and there's no way to measure it appropriately. But at the end of the day, life is measured by what you determine and how you decide. Nobody gets to decide that for you. What you want
So
to
I will say this. So I will say this though is like, yes, you can have the things that you think are valuable that you can put out in the world, but again, it's like perfect analogy is I can make a product, right? I can have this invention, and to me, it's the most amazing thing in the world, and I'm like, this is worth everything, and then I put it out in the market, and everyone's like, fuck you doing, dude? What are you doing? And nothing happens with it. It's like, to me, it's like, okay, I put out value, but unless it's actually applicable, like it don't mean shit, right? It's almost like proving a concept, proving the market. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Like, how many times I'll come to you with an idea like, hey, we should do this. This would be a great idea. And you're like, yeah, but this is how it's going to be perceived. And I'm like, oh, shit.
Well, right, because that's something that you can put out there. But if other people don't see it as valuable or don't want it, then in reality it doesn't mean anything. Same thing, same thing can go with ideas, right? Ideas can be valuable so long as they are perceived of value.
You remember that rose thing I wanted to do for the men?
Oh
I wanted
yeah,
to do
no,
the black and gold rose that you could buy a buddy.
there was no way we would have been ever able to do that. I hope you know that, right?
I mean, with a lot of research, we would have found a way, but it might have been more than the funds we had available to get it together.
That's something that maybe we can think about down the line, right? As just like a little whatever. But where we stand right now,
Yeah.
like that's something that you do at like some Hallmark shit.
You know how my brain works. I'm always thinking big picture later down the line.
Yeah.
Real quick, the Discord is for the Uncrowned now. We used to be the Uncrowned Kings. We are now just the Uncrowned because we welcome women into the Uncrowned movement as part of the growth and movement and moving forward. We're not just focused on men anymore. Everybody is welcome to join. We love having people in there. We don't like toxicity. We will shut that down in a heartbeat. So if you come in there trying to play a clown or trying to, steal money from people through sympathies that you made up on Wednesday, it's not going to go through. So join there because you want to help or get help or do both, but not because you want to get something like fun or entertainment out of it. Although we do entertaining things, I'm just saying people are not your entertainment.
So it's not a sausage fest anymore.
Right.
and hopefully we can start to move the community Discord once the app gets out over to the app, and we can kind of do our little thing over on that aspect too.
Yeah. I did see Tyler follow up with I don't feel worthy, but honestly, Tyler, you got to dive into yourself and understand why you don't feel worthy and why you assign that to yourself. That's something you create inside your mind.
Not necessarily. Oftentimes, whenever you have that feeling of self-doubt or worthlessness, is because of a situation or something else has put into you. We're not born being like, I hate myself while they're fucking sucking on their mom's tit, right? That's just from the negative influences or situations that we've been put into life that slowly change that mentality of like how I view our own self-worth. We don't just wake up one day and be like, you know what? I'm one ugly, worthless motherfucker. Meanwhile, like nothing else happened before that. My perfect, stereotypical, normal fucking life. You don't just wake up and be like, I fucking hate everything. There has to be something had to have led to that point. Like, how did we get to there? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I agree that environment creates a lot, but I also believe more heavily that personal choice and personal acceptance is a heavier weight.
Right. Right. Now,
Tyler, you can find the link in his bio.
so let me read you this then, right? Because obviously you said personal choice, whatever, is defining your own self-worth outside of the situation or scenario that you're inside of. What would you tell someone that suffers from, anxiety or trauma, being through the situations or scenarios to where they have traumatic experiences associated with self-worth? Say they had a parent or a relationship, whatever, with someone who is constantly sitting there degrading them. And you know as well as I do, once you tell yourself something or be told something over and over and over again, well, you start to create your own reality, whether or not that's even true or not. You will literally convince your mind that that is how it is. So if that's the situation, that's the case, then in a sense, it's not really their fault that they can't define their own self-worth.
And this is more of like a PTSD than just general anxiety and whatnot. It's more of a learned experience brought to you directly by somebody you're supposed to trust and supposed to, believe. And honestly, that takes a lot of deep diving, and I would suggest professional help getting through those kinds of deals, because there is nothing I could say that would fix you in one sentence, maybe even a paragraph.
Nope, that's something that you have to literally go through and dissect and address the entirety of the traumatic situation or person or whatever. And then literally just slowly pull apart and work through all the intertwines, because that shit's deep. That shit's in the core. As soon as something becomes subconscious, it is extremely hard to retrain the mind to think otherwise.
You can look up the Uncrowned Discord in the community inside of Discord's Discovery. It should show up either the Uncrowned or Uncrowned Kings. JB did change the name on me, so I don't know what it's showing up as.
Oh, I thought I changed everything to just the Crown.
I know, but I don't know if that affected the community link.
Listen, dude, I just work here.
No, you're the face. Like, I'm the one who just works here.
Okay, yeah, no, fair enough.
Shane might be able to go into Discord and grab a link and post it in real quick.
Mm-hmm. What do you do when you know you're getting? Wait.
What do you do when you know when you're getting? I'm thinking. Just turn what?
Right, I'm like that English.
Hey, you're missing the key points. Like, you've got everything around the key point. I just need that key point.
How to make an ex jealous? You don't. What do you gain from that? Like,
getting played?
He who seeks revenge should take two graves. Trust me, karma's a bitch, and she will get hers. And if you feel like you're getting played, address it. And if that's really how you feel, then why are you still in that situation?
If you're getting played, then you're getting played. Like, that's on the other person. That's something they own. Walk away from the situation. Do you need answers? No. Do you need responses? No. What you need is to take care of your own mental health and let go of all that baggage that makes you feel like you're not equal in standing.
Yeah, I think people fail to realize that if you don't have like a moral obligation, like kids, whatever it may be, or a legal obligation, i.e., marriage, a house, you guys' names are on something, there's literally nothing keeping you there besides emotion. Like, there's literally nothing. And I get it, emotion sometimes can be the hardest one because I take a psychological effect on you and a psychological toll, but like literally there's nothing tying you. I've been a fucking victim, bumfuck, dumbass on that too. I'll own that shit to the goddamn grave. You know what I mean? So I understand it's hard, but I will address the reality of the situation is like I get it. You don't want to hurt them. You want communication. You know, you may want that level of closure, but unless the other person fucking dies, you get the closure that you need because there'll always be the shit that you never knew about. And I'm sure I just gave a whole bunch of people anxiety when I said that. But whenever there is a breakup or a loss or anything like that with someone else, you can have the most peaceful, quote unquote, breakup as you possibly can, but you will never get full closure in that situation because you never really knew what they did behind closed doors or the things that you didn't find out about. At that point, it is best just to lay it to rest and not fucking worry about it. Because I can't tell you the amount of times that after the relationship ends, the amount of shit that I found out after the relationship that went on in the relationship, it ain't fucking worth it.
It does nothing to help you. And I now that I understand Jules' comment better, you know, he's thinking that turning toxic will do him a whole lot better. Like, no, it won't. They just keep on leading you down a path of failure and remorse and regret and anger because you're not applying anything positive to the situation to make it positive. If you're gonna go negative, that's all you're gonna get. When you seek negative, you get negative. That's the laws of life. If you're gonna get toxic and start going out there and being toxic, it does nothing for you. If you're gonna grow from the situation, move on, and learn from it, what not to accept later in relationships, that's all the positive you need. Learn from the mistakes, learn from the lessons, move on. Sitting around and dragging somebody else through the mud because it makes you feel better in the moment ain't gonna do shit for you in the long run.
I still think people fail to realize that, like, even in actual life application, we still kind of follow the laws of physics, right? And every action has an equal and opposite reaction. With everything, there is a cause and effect. I think people just try to do things or go about things not realizing that their actions does have an effect, right? They did the cause, right? This is what they did. There will be an effect. They end up going into these situations or, you know, a lot of times doing what they do because that effect may not show its face immediately, right? Like I was saying before, we're in such like a here now, like immediate gratification, instant, whatever. So they make these decisions and in their head, they're justifying it or thinking it's okay because there's not an immediate effect. Not realizing that that effect may not show its face for a month, a year, 5 years. You don't know, but there will always be a cause and effect. This is how ignorant you want to
whole
be.
cycle that we keep getting fucked over on, though. This is why we keep going through these cycles of hurt, pain, love, hurt, pain, love. Because motherfuckers get in their heads like, oh, I'm gonna show them, and they go out and do the same exact thing. Like you said earlier, the abused become the abuser. And the cycle just keeps going back and forth. So then men can't trust women, women can't trust men, women can't trust women, men can't trust men. Why? Because the cycle just keeps fucking going. Nobody wants to end it. Nobody wants to say stops here.
No one wants to say stop here because one, actually I can't even say that because we're on live and not Discord, so I kind of have to watch my mouth when I say this. The stature and status of men right now is almost at an all-time low, right? We're finding it very hard to stop that cycle because we don't have enough real motherfuckers out there to finally put their foot down. That's why this is not coming to an end. That's why the cycle of fuckassery is going and going and going, is because no one wants that social ridicule or that prejudice from when they finally. There's a lot of guys and a lot of women that are tired of the way Western culture is going, right in that direction. And their mentality is same as yours. Put the foot down, have an end to it. Like getting real fucking sick and tired of it. But no one wants to actually stand and carry it out and actually stand by their word. Because look how society comes at people who actually stand against the narrative. They get crucified.
Terry Crews.
Like you've seen what's happened to me on a couple controversial videos. You remember, dude? You remember that one I made about body count?
Yep.
Holy crap. Like, that one was bad.
And all because a man said it. Not because it was said, but because a man said it.
Yeah. That's okay, though, because if you look at the comments, all emotional. They're all emotionally triggered. There was only one person in that comment section that actually had a normal discussion with me, and I was grateful for it. Because I even put down there, I'm open for a respectful, logical conversation. All of them. And you know for a fact you can't have a conversation or an argument with somebody the moment you insult them, degrade them, slander them. That's not an argument. That serves no purpose in the conversation. That serves no purpose to have us reach a middle ground. Right? All you're doing is you feel threatened, so you have to attack because you don't have the ideas or the mentality to actually formulate shit that fucking matters.
Like, I'm not a content creator. I'm not like, you get out here, you create content, you move people, and I back you up. When I get on TikTok, I'm a debater. I go into people's comments and I debate the topics that they bring up. That's what I like to do. I have fun with that. A lot of times it's hard to keep those debates on track because people start going after your character and things they don't know about you, but they want to make assumptions because they want to trigger you away from the topic because you're making good arguments. It's really hard to stay on topic when people are doing that shit.
Mm-hmm.
I got blamed for everything that went bad in my relationship. Sounds typical. It just shows you that the relationship wasn't meant to be.
Well,
it's a very good guideline for, oh, okay, well, maybe this is the wrong one. This is not the person who deserves my energy or my time. Or maybe it is your fault. Sometimes that happens.
regardless, whenever a relationship ends, it's never just solely one-sided. Both of you guys are in a relationship, right? So even if there was that one deciding factor, it's like, oh no, you did the wrong, so this is why we end. Well, there also has to be some level of self-accountability of like, how did you allow that to happen? How did you get that yourself into that situation? What areas were not being fulfilled in the relationship? What was not communicated properly? You know, like there's her side, your side, and then the fucking truth. And the fucking truth is the part that both y'all fucking missed.
Yeah, it's because of emotions. Men get so, and this is the thing. Like, so we always say men are logical beasts. We always think in logic. Women always think with emotion. But ultimately, when we get in a relationship, we kind of dim down our logic and start matching the emotion of the women we're with. Because I can think through any problem logically any day, all day. But as soon as my wife tells me she's emotionally invested in that problem, my logic starts dimming down. And I start getting emotional too, because I want to make sure that the situation is addressed emotionally right for her. And a lot of times I miss because I'm a man doing what men are not supposed to do and using emotions to solve logical problems.
Yeah, that's where guys really need to keep a sharp mental acuity. But a lot of times they'll run into that issue because they get into these relationships and the woman takes the lead. Well, it emasculates them. So they're not going to be full front, both logical and a little bit of an emotional, because the best part about a man being in his masculine energy, but allowing the feminine energy to flow through him, right, and having a actual feminine woman, is that a good feminine woman with the right guy can actually allow him to, you know, have that other aspect, right, that other variable to his character, you know, the proper showing of emotion, right, because she gives him almost like that safe space, which is starting to get fucking slim pickings and far and few in between right now. But
we need to go back. We need to go back to idolizing people of character. We need to go back to, and I don't mean this in a slanderous way of like, you know, Nicki Minaj is nothing because her music is garbage. Like, some music we listened to when we were growing up was worse than what she fucking puts out nowadays. If you think about it a lot, but like, I mean it in a way of, if you don't have character that is defined by you and is not followable by somebody else, meaning somebody else doesn't, if somebody else can define you in the moment, your character is in question because your character melded to their wants and their lead instead of just being your character. If your character can't stand up to people and be what it is all the time, then you're not a person of character, realistically.
no, you're just simply easily influenced. Just like everyone, or not everyone, but a majority of people in this Western culture. It's a big reason why companies get their influencers. Because influencers influence people. What do? Take this, influence other people to buy my shit. Is one of your 27 kids crying in the background, Chaz?
We're babysitting a kid, and she's like 7 months old, so they're really easy to upset. So my granddaughter's getting ready to be born, and
You're gonna be a grandpa?
yeah,
You old fuck.
yep, I'm getting to that stage. So to practice having a baby around again, because it's been a while, we took on a baby from a family member to see, if we can deal with the stresses.
You do realize if each one of your kids had 1 to 2 grandkids, you're gonna have a household of like 40,
I've only got 6 kids.
and that grows exponentially. You realize this, right?
Look, my papa had 12 kids.
Pulling out is a thing. Granted, I'm a fucking hypocrite when I say this, but
They didn't teach me that in the
good
Navy.
thing.
They taught me if I want to rank, I got to go full force.
Yeah, but you also go through the wrong hole, so.
Chaz, to be fair,
What was the question?
internet culture does accelerate the issue.
What was the question?
It's not a question. He was making a statement. He's saying that realistically is accelerated by the internet, which we brought up earlier. So he's right. Accessibility to information and a vast amount of resources makes things a lot worse. Johan, communication is the main thing. Of course, communication is the main. Communication is always the primary thing.
Well, I mean, look at it this way. Even looking at the statistics, so when you can tell what years, right, social media kind of came out, what years they really started to take off everything. Compare that with the same charts of mental health, right? People on prescription medications, people being diagnosed with mental health disorders, suicide rates, suicide attempts. As social media and the internet and technology in all facets starts to get on the rise and getting more intertwined with our day-to-day lives, all those factors on all the charts go up. The only one that goes down is the age in which this shit starts. Right? It's the age of self-harm, the age of suicidal tendencies, the age of quote-unquote depression. That goes down. Meaning it's starting at an earlier age because they're being exposed to all this bullshit at such a young age. And again, I blame a lot of the parents for not having that accountability, being like, no, we need to be more involved so we actually know what's going on.
We're just making the world a whole lot more complicated than what it's supposed to be by allowing too much information to flow in too fast. Because honestly, we didn't have these issues prior because we were able to gauge and guide and, decide when to introduce certain things.
Oh, right. And now, sorry, go ahead.
Real quick, I was going to say, Jules, you got to ask a question. We can't answer if you don't ask it.
So, I mean, look at it this way, though. The fathers were always, going out to work, whatever, but now women are heavily in the workforce. The only person really raising or teaching the kids at the schools, and the schools are getting their information and their education, whatever curriculum from the government. So really it's the government raising the kids. Now we have the whole influx of the internet and the information age. And literally it's the exact same thing. What happens when you go to a restaurant, you get handed a big ass menu with 70 different options. Yeah, a lot of things may look great to you, but when the server comes and actually asks you what you want, you go, I don't know. Because your analysis by paralysis. However, if you go to a restaurant and only has 5 things on the menu, you'll be able to pick out what you want in less than a minute. You're guided, you have direction, and you have the right guidance. So I'm not necessarily sure there's really any saving this, right? Because one or two things need to happen. Either we need to slow down on the fucking internet consumption, which that's gone. That's out the fucking window. There's no way in hell that's happening. Or two, right? We have the new generation, the generation before mine. Right, the ones that are majority of all the parents and shit, which is going to be switching here soon, need a big fucking wake up call, right? People need to actually start guiding the younger generation.
My ex-girl treated me like shit, left me after 2 years because I'm a bitch in her eyes, put a gun up to me.
Was that a question or a comment?
That's the situation. How do you move on? How do you not move on?
Excuse me.
Go ahead, JB.
Oh, well, again, too generic of a question. How do you move on? Like mentally, like move on? Like you're trying to overcome the PTSD, quote unquote, from that situation? Or move on as in like you can't get over them. Like you are still stuck, like attraction with that person.
It sounds like he's saying that he feels stuck in the relationship because of the way it ended and the way he was treated. He says both to you.
Oh,
Yeah.
you want to know how to solve that issue really fucking quick? If you have evidence of anything of that happening, literally just call the cops, show them the evidence, get her taken away. Now she's out of the picture. You won't have to fucking worry about it anymore. And then from there, then you could actually start to address the shit that's going on in your head. But you need to remove yourself from that situation if you ever hope to fucking fix your head.
I couldn't imagine attaching myself to somebody like that. Like, I was in an abusive relationship, but it was like an abuse that was like passive aggressive kind of. So I didn't recognize it. But like, somebody's blatantly holding a gun to you.
So, John, I'm literally speaking from experience. Like that is literally what I did.
Yeah.
Right? I physically removed her from the situation so that I could then remove myself, since I didn't have that fucking wall up, and then I could start working on my headspace. There's no way in hell I would ever been able to work on my mental health and my headspace with that still present. And sometimes the only way to get rid of that presence is to physically remove, especially when it's that serious.
If you can't remove the other person, you need to remove yourself. There's no way around it.
But sometimes it's a lot harder in situational people that can or cannot remove themselves. You have to remember that some people get stuck in that kind of situation. And if the situation is that serious, he doesn't have to be the one that removes her. Right? He can like keep himself out of the picture and have another entity, third party, whatever it may be, remove her from or him from that situation. So that's even better in that sense, if that's even an option, because then you also don't feel like the guilt of like, oh, I'm the one that did this. It's like, no, she was doing something or he was doing something wrong, and they got taken away because they had to deal with the consequences of it. It wasn't you necessarily.
But this is a situation where he addresses that she left him, and he
Right,
still feels connected.
I have to speak sometimes going over the situation in its entirety, so that it can still apply to other people who may not be going through the exact same thing. But in his situation, she removed herself.
Yeah.
That I'm confused.
Still feeling connected to her. He wants to get over her. He's got the emotional connection still, whereas she's moved on.
Well, he needs to stop talking about her, right? He's keeping that door open. He's still keeping that inventory in his head. That's the first step with everything.
Honestly, Jules, you've got to redefine your life, because right now you're reliant on another person who wasn't a good guiding point, wasn't a good walking partner, and you feel like the potential of that person still outweighs the reality of that person.
Ah, yes, falling in love with the potential of somebody, that's a bitch. I won't fucking suck.
Honestly, just repetition trains the mind. Like, go through each day and find a way to not be about her. Find a way to find yourself again, who you were before you were in a relationship, the things you enjoyed before you gave them up for the relationship, because all men do it. We all let go of things that kept us happy because it made them more happy.
And again, you're losing your character, you're losing yourself, and you're not really being a man at that point, because you're allowing your character to mesh with her character. So after she leaves, you lose a part of yourself, because you put her on that pedestal. You gave a part of yourself to associate her with you in your life. You should never have to give a part of yourself just to be associated with somebody else. But I think that was all our time for today. Yeah.
We addressed quite a few different topics.
We did. I was happy we finally got some questions in. Was this being recorded? Yeah. I didn't see his name popped up unless I missed it.
He's been in the chat telling people to join the Discord and answering questions for us.
Oh, that was him. Oh man, my eyes are worse than I thought. Then, yeah. All right. Oh, there he is. Okay, now I see him. All right. You know what's cool is that I can record the outro outside of this as well, so I don't have to worry about it. I can literally be like, "Deuces, bitches."
Right.
No. No. Jazz, thanks, buddy. Always a pleasure. Shane, thank you for bearing with us and recording, even though we're kind of outside the norm. But other than that, guys, if you got nothing else for me, I got nothing else for you. And Till next time.